Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fairy Oracle. I'm going to do a brief reading today because my plan was to do a paint scrying, but we have a few days off coming up. I am working Saturday afternoon, but other than that, I will have time to do that this weekend. But I got a real sense of urgency that I needed to pull a few cards for the next couple of days, right up until Memorial Day. And the thoughts that I got for all of you are things are coming full circle for you. Now, this could have to do with whatever it is you're going through right now. Things are coming full circle. And the reason that we as human beings having a spiritual experience on this planet, we're bound here. Our bodies are earthbound. But whatever we've chosen to do on this planet needs to come full circle. Now, sometimes, like with old souls, things happen very quickly when they are here. For younger souls, it takes a little bit of time, but everything does come full circle before you transition. So when I talk about the circle of life, what does that mean? Well, the first card that I pulled today is called the Circle of Life. And it really has to do with our DNA. It has to do with our DNA that was created. Everybody thinks that our DNA was created when our parents got together. That was the beginning. But you see, with God, there is no beginning and there is no end. It's all a circle. Is it any wonder that our earth is a circle? That the planets are circles, that the earth revolves around the sun in a circle, that our faces are circles, that our eyes are circles. Our organs in our bodies, they're not square, they're circles. Our circulatory system circles throughout our body. Cells are circles. So this circle of life came in prior to your incarnation. And this circle of life will leave when you transition. But here you are now. And you are completing this process. And I'm here to tell you, some of you out there are starting to see the results. You're starting to see the results of all that you've worked for, all that you've prayed for. And this is something to rejoice about. This is nothing to be sad about. All of that pain is happening for a reason, and the struggle and the prayers for you in particular. And then as it ripples out, it happens as a collective. So a couple of people have asked me, well, what does the Great Reset mean? The Great Reset, as above, so below, there is a spiritual cosmic reason, and there is an earthbound reason. The earthbound reason of the Great Reset is for power, greed, and control. The cosmic reason is to break down all that isn't working. It's to break down the greed, power, and control, and to bring us into a more balanced life, starlit-filled light existence. And I'm just touching the surface here, because the messages that I've received go way deeper than that. So let's go into this card real quickly. We see the infinity symbol in the heart, which is Alpha and Omega. The beginning and the end and a new beginning. It never ends. And then we have the color cobalt blue around the core of this woman. See, her throat chakra is blocked. And her goal is to be a great communicator. She hadn't stepped into her soul's core yet when I did this picture, but I was able to tell her that she needed to do this. Some form of communication. And then as her soul journeyed out, you can see yellow mixed with orange. Now, this probably happened around her 40s. I do not know this person. I can't even remember who she is, because as soon as these things are done, they're gone. Unless I actually do know the person and we're friends or acquaintances. But this, the yellow is the energy. It's optimism. It's vitality. It's the solar plexus. It's the urge to wanting to move forward. But at that point in this person's life, because they hadn't used their throat chakra, they didn't speak their truth, they engaged in some lower based things. And I want to say addictions. And to be, because this was a woman, it wasn't a younger person. I would have to say probably alcoholism, maybe an eating disorder. I can't remember. Because around the 40s, they knew what they wanted to do, but there was something holding them back. And because they were stuck in that spot, they went towards the addictions. Now, some of us have addictive personalities. Orange, because it's related to intimacy, can also lend itself to addictions when it's unbalanced in the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra isn't called that sacred, because for no reason. It's because it's the core of our sanctity. And then there's the root chakra, which is what catapults us forward. So when those are out of alignment, there's an imbalance. But this card was a call to move back into this. So if you are not using your voice, or you have a fear of using your voice, all you need to do is ask that you receive the courage to do so. And this card could be for you out there. Okay, so this is about the circle of life. This is about our cosmic origin. This is about where we came from. Now, let me tell you something. You can easily point to your relatives and say, this is my mother, this is my father, this is my grandmother, blah, 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 on your family tree. But it's not quite so easy to know that you have other relatives where you came from. And the only way that you're going to know this is if you ask, and the only way that you're going to receive the information is if you take the time to be still to know it. The Bible says, be still and know. And it is not by chance that the Bible, as a sacred book, has messages that correspond to the awakening that this planet is experiencing right now. And it is not evil. It can't be. Yes, there are forces. As I said, we've got earthbound, we've got spiritual. The goal is to rise above to the spiritual. And that's the only place where ego is not. So, in the circle of life, generations tell our story. And as we have children and they produce children, that tells a story. But make no bones about it. Your kids, your ancestors are all a part of you, but they are their own people. And they need to forge their own paths. And if you are struggling with letting this go, know that you will not be free and they will not be free until you let go. And there's a reason for that. Because that's when what's up there comes down and takes control in a good way. So that is the first card I got on my deck. The second card is coming full circle. And I'm not going to read this. I just feel like it is validation. Here we've got the line here, as above, so below. We've got the cosmic mind and we've got the body, the physical mind. Okay, we've got the cosmic mind and we've got the physical mind. We've got the spiritual mind. We've got what goes on in our body houses. So this is confirmation of this card. The other two cards that I pulled, talking about the Great Reset. I am not a proponent of controlling systems. I never have been. I have never been a person that can be controlled. And whenever I've moved into that kind of a slot, you know how you try things, right? You know, you go to different churches, you meet somebody and you have a connection and, you know, you try out that relationship. We're here to learn. We're here to learn. We're here to go through this school. But I don't know about you, but I want to leave here with an A+. So when we talk about the Great Reset, if we look at it in terms of the earthbound thought of what this means for our planet, on the surface, it looks like a good thing, right? It looks like a very good thing. And that's because human beings are trying to control the outcomes, which they can't do. No human being can control the outcomes of the greater picture, of the big circle. Okay? Human beings can merge with the bigger picture. And that is the spiritual Great Reset. So there are two hence the poles, hence the two sides. And then from that, there are all these offshoots. Okay? You could fit into any one of those, whatever your belief systems are. But this is coming to a crescendo. Okay? One of these is not going to want to merge. And that's what this Great Reset is. It's coming to a peak. Triangle. Think about that. So, some people want to create heaven on earth. And I get that. I would love that. And I think we can do that individually. But when you look at that existence, creating heaven on earth means that everybody is going to have to think the same way. And I do believe that's possible. But don't force me to do it. Do not force me to think a certain way. By spiritual osmosis, we will think the same way. And that's the individuality that we all incarnated onto this planet to be. Individuals. So, Lemuria was the place of heaven on earth. But that place was destroyed. Because you see, I told you, as it comes to a peak, the peak of the crystal experience, there's going to be a side that doesn't want to do that. And that is going to be the critical moment for the Great Reset. So I'm asking you today to begin to connect with your spiritual cosmic family. Take the time to rest and be mindful and ask. Because we're not going to get there as long as this other earth-based great reset set of all of the dense energies take over. And let me remind you, there's dense energies up there too. Okay? But we're not going to talk about that. We'll think about that some other time. And the only way this is going to happen is if we all find a new way of being. A new way of being that releases the dense energies, that says, yes, I am ready. I am ready for this new life here on planet Earth. I'm ready to move beyond this dense earth-based place. I know I got to live on it, but I don't have to walk in it in its entirety. I can have help. And that's what the awakening process is. It's a new way of being. It's a new way of integrating. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of possibilities. It's a new way of awareness. It's a new way of growth. It's a new way of shedding our earth-based skin. And it's a new way of becoming more in tune with the divine. So, think about this for the next couple of days, because my guess is, and I'm just going to throw this out there, some of you are going to get together and have family functions. Okay? This is the final of this reading until I do my paint scrying, which we're going to ask some questions about what's going on in the world on when I do my paint scrying. And I'm going to tell you, when I did the paint scrying in 2016, I don't touch it. Okay, it formed. And I and some of my friends that were on, that remember, I did it live on Facebook. They saw who the president was going to be. So we're going to do some of that this weekend. And I'm praying, like all of you, that my guides will open up a time slot for me to do that. So getting back to what I was saying, some of you are going to get together with family this weekend. And there's going to be some friction. There's going to be some uncomfortable, dense energies. And most of that, not all, but most of that has to do with a person that is unhealed. They're still carrying stuff from their incarnation. They're still carrying stuff from family lines. They're still carrying stuff from their DNA. They're still carrying stuff from how they were raised. I'm going to ask you to step outside of that. Just move away from what's going on. Take a deep breath and allow whatever it is to come in and watch whatever needs to play out, but do not engage. Unless what you say has to do with the situation and each person involved in it, their spiritual ascension. And you will know. You will know. Sometimes we say things on a wing and a prayer and we don't realize the effect that it has until after the fact. But step outside that hub this weekend. Holidays and gatherings always tend to bring something. No judgment. Okay? So, my friends, consider where you've come from, your journey here on this planet. Don't be afraid to communicate. Don't be afraid to move out of something that isn't working for you. Know that the circle of life is going to happen whether you want it to or not. And create your own little heaven on earth. Begin now. Begin now. The time is now. It's now. I know it is. And ask to receive the messages, the downloads and upgrades from Mother, Father, God, and all of the universe, because it all works in tandem. I refuse to leave any of it out. I refuse. As a matter of fact, when my kids were little, and we did, I got Christmas presents, I had to make sure that I spent the same amount on all of my kids. Or they got the same amount of presents. Or I gave them the choice. This is what I can spend. So if you want one big thing, you're only going to have one present under the tree while everybody else has more. So this is up to you. But I have always believed in fairness. I do not agree with these dense energies that force people into a spot they don't want to be. It's got to be fair. People say, well, life isn't fair. Baloney. Life isn't fair because there are people on this planet that don't want it to be fair. And until people look in here and merge it with here and merge it up there, it's not going to be fair. And that's what my job is. To tell you everything works in tandem. There's a flux. There's a flow. Get into the flow. And you won't regret it. Okay, my friends. Fairy Oracle signing out. Onward and upward. Be well, be blessed. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And I will see you at the paint scrying. Bye-bye. Until next time.